What's up, world? What's up, Zion? It's Prince Easy coming at you again as usual. And of course, I do have a couple slides here with me in this here mobile device that I have to share with you as we try to update each other on geopolitics and other matters, right? As we are accustomed to, right? Let's just say that. Uh, So before we get to that, I want to issue a fair use disclaimer for the copywritten material that's going to be shared here in this here post, right? For the purpose of criticism, commentary, so on and so forth, right? So yeah, let's dive into it. So this happened, okay? Apparently this is also happening. Why? Because there's a file somewhere and somebody talking about paying a certain amount of money to launch a campaign. Now, some might say, hey, this is, they're trying to, use emotions in order to, support the migrants and stuff. One thing I think needs to be understood from what I see and what I have collected so far is that most people do not really know how even migration affects them. They don't. Okay, all they know are just political talking points that they have heard somewhere, but they haven't really looked at the statistics, right? And the reality of their society and how it's made up, right? Especially in the US, right? What most people are really, upset about is how you go about doing it. How you go about doing it, right? You started, right? With the crocodile Alcatraz, I don't know who came up with that. But it is what it is, right? So maybe this did happen. Maybe it did happen. And if it did, let's just assume if it did, what would be your thought, right? And I'm here talking about those proponents, right? There's a mysterious weapon launched by China. Yeah. So I don't know. I think people should look at the amount of bases America has and of course focus on the clusters. He learned that Russia attacks have targeted American businesses in Ukraine. In Ukraine, it's open season on American businesses. Vladimir Putin is targeting American plants and headquarters here in Ukraine with missiles and drones, he noted. So again, are they part of the arms industry? He didn't really care to elaborate on that part. So this genius US Senator here, right? These are the Americans now, right? The ones that Trump says he represents. Right? Look at what they're doing. This Blumenthal guy, of course, he's an American as well. And this one here, not on the same page. EU 20th package sanctions against Russia. So what are they trying to do? They are worried of giving Hungary a long-term antagonistic ammunition during his campaign. These people are meticulous and thinking ahead always. Think like them. They say the stalemate. So I have a question. Can a person have a stalemate with himself? I wonder. And this is why he argues, although it may be easier for Trump to put pressure on Ukraine than on Russia, no, to put pressure on Zelensky than on Russia, or Putin in that matter. A path to a lasting peace cannot be built by effectively giving victory to Russian leader Vladimir Putin. Giving, right? That's the word that we're using as of now, right? This is what Zelensky is saying from this here quotation. Okay, so he believes that whatever Trump is doing is giving victory to Russia, right? That Russia is not achieving or rather taking anything, right? Maybe the 300 trillion, right? Trump has in recent days twice said the responsibility for making concessions lies with Zelensky, and he agreed. Right? He even said that we have to put this up to a referendum and stuff. But now, nah, he didn't say that. That did not happen. I hope it's just his tactics and not not the decision. Right? He hopes that, or rather, he's hoping that Trump is playing 3D chess with Putin than presenting what he's presenting, right? Sending delegates over there to talk. Maybe it's their 3D chess, right? That's what Zelensky is thinking. The EU has a plan to save region on Russian doorstep for economic malice. The European Commission wants to invest money into border areas, but there won't be any new funds from the EU current budget, right? So they're saying after this war ends, all of those countries that are bordering Russia, they will have to be protected from economic. The EU is concerned that if there is if these easternmost regions depopulate, Europe's ability to defend the border is compromised. Okay, do you understand now what context they are talking about? Right, so the population and the army, okay, that's what they are talking about, because I don't think everybody can defend the border against an invading force. Okay, so said the commission, right? Of course, he's trying to be anonymous to speak freely, but that's what they're thinking, right? They're trying to invest, and let's not say that there isn't any. No, you have been talking about the shield. You remember the shield, the European shield, right? That was, you know, not NATO, but another shield, a weapon shield, right? We have done a lot of reading from these peoples, right? Brussels also is also worried that the economic woes suffered by those living in the regions could see them turn to fringe parties in election to make them vulnerable to Russian propaganda. So bordering countries to Russia suffering, right, as they say, economic wars, right? They are suffering economic wars. These are the things that they're disclosing without disclosing, right? So there are apparently countries bordering Russia that are suffering economically, I wonder who those are, right? Of course, we have to take out Ukraine. Who are they? These people who are worried about their futures in politics because of their support of this war. It seems that maybe a wave is coming to sweep some some people. Of course, like I said, they always think ahead. Okay, they always think ahead, so they want to propagate, or rather promote, militarism. And how are they gonna do about that, or rather go about that? We have many models, right? Maybe the one they use in Ukraine is just a Nazification, which directly correlates to the hatred of the Russians, right, who are vehement enemies of the Nazis. So that was just one thing that they just conducted over there. I don't know what they're gonna do with the other countries, but they are doing something, right? Banning Russian languages and cultures, just subtle movements to make people rather disassociate themselves with Russia. Why? Like they said from the top, to defend the border. They feel like this change that is brewing inside these Eastern European countries who are bordering Russia. Okay, I'm just digesting what we have just read, and this is not even an exaggeration. This is just the reality. Okay, you can read for yourself, and if you can digest what people say and the words they use, you can read between the lines. Oh yeah, hey. You can read between the lines. Okay, but again, the clutch is Russian propaganda, right? So they are gonna weaponize, right? So first of all, they have to fight the people from moving to depopulate those areas. Why? Because they would have a weak army, a small army. On top of that, they would have the political change within people, right? Within people that would, as they say here, could see them turn to fringe parties, right? Basically anti-Brussels, anti-America, right? More nationalistic type, right? Even though most of the recent nationalistic movements have basically sucked. Let's just say that there is no, they don't look far. Let's just say that, right? They're just there to appease so as they can get power, and then they're gonna continue appeasing. That's what they don't understand. Okay, so again, think ahead. So if you are in opposition of the official Brussels, you can see what is happening to Mr. Orban over there. The FBI is warning, right? They're not gonna do anything about it, as if it's not their job. They're just warning people, okay, that there will be a cyber attack. This is how you know they're gonna be the one doing it. Right? Because why tell us? Why don't you secure the thing? Right? And the pretext, of course, the operation they ran on Poland, right? You remember that? So going back to the Ukrainian war, can we call this some sort of political spillover or something? They want them to change their passwords. What they want? This piece of information here feels like, they want people to feel like they are part of the plant operation or something, This is the internal memo. This is not this is not news, right? You need to create a WhatsApp group and put these, whatever officials over there with the so-called password, send them a group chat. You're not supposed to be telling us, right? These are childish games, people. And people are falling for it, Some believe, like they say, right? The attacks are coming from Russia and China, as usual, right? If not them, then maybe North Korea, And if it's a good day, maybe Iran, you never know, right? There are some people who are buying it, and there are some people who are not really buying it. Okay, and I'm not saying that the capability of hacking does not exist. It exists. Iran has shown it, China has shown it, Russia has shown it. So it's not a problem of the ability to carry out certain attack, but what strategic gain would this have if it were China? And China, first of all, is not even doing business with y'all, right? They are now slowly coming back, but not fully. Russia, sanctions. So who is left? Iran. Why would Iran hack your food system? Like, come on, people, come on. Let's have serious conversations now, okay? Why would Iran hack your food system? So who does that leave? I remember watching the recent Cat William stand-up, and he said some things in there pertaining to this whole ordeal. Pay attention, right? That guy is spilling the beans, okay? So again, it's a whole beast, from Eastern Europe. Its tail is all the way back to America, right? And I'm not saying everybody over there in America is bad, just like everybody in Ukraine is bad, no. There are some who are bad, and those people are powerful. And people are not even questioning themselves, okay, how did this happen, right? Is Zelensky what he's saying true about Russia hasn't made anything, right? The concession talk we had the last time, right? Talking about the only win that Russia is gonna have is, let's not even talk about nothing, right? Let's talk about the reality. Is that true? It's not. Then why are these people lying through their teeth? And somehow it's Russian propaganda, that somehow they have instigated and gaslit Zelensky and turned him into a, I don't know, bloodlust, I don't know, guy. Is that it? Is that what we are going for? And this is what they're saying. Agencies warn of state-sponsored cyber attack from Russia and China. Why? And if it's a war, this is lazy psyop. Let's just say that. Okay, this is lazy psyoping. Okay, this is some lazy, sloppy psyoping. Okay, and people are gonna see through the cracks. This is when people do something about it. Okay? Real conversations being had. Right? The internet is quite interesting, right? People over there are so free to express their opinions, right? Their innermost. And it's fine. Right? Maybe it's good for something. Eh? It's just confusing people. One time you want the eradication of the days of commemoration of black peoples and their accomplishment and their contribution. The next minute you're hosting. Like, you're confusing people. Again, confusing people. Eh? So, more stuff coming out of Iran. Israel unit, that number had a clear role in the riots in the country. One of the riot leaders had ordered one of his field agents to provoke the security forces to shoot as much as possible to increase the number of casualties. And he said, even if they do not do this, kill your own associates yourselves. Yep, that's what they're saying. Again, scapegoat. Eh? Who took him down? The person who is hosting. This is some crazy work here. And then you get upset when people say, okay, you're not reliable. This is what they have been avoiding to say. America is not reliable. One day you say this, the other day you say that. Whatever fits. Eh? This one here. Tense moment, those ones. Almost went to war because of this fella here. Almost. This is just early data. The numbers. German sees little chance of swift end to war through talks. Okay, let's digest what he just said. Okay, I want people to digest what he just said. Mercy sees few chances of a quick end to a war through negotiations. In my view, this war only ends with when one of the two sides is exhausted, either militarily or economically, he said. So he's echoing the words of Trump early on. Remember the child remarks? And he was talking about Putin and Zelensky being children on a playground. You remember that? As regards Russia, Vladimir Putin, Merz added, rational and humanitarian arguments will not convince Putin. That is the bitter truth. He therefore said the goal of the European effort should be to ensure that the Russian state cannot continue to wage war militarily or finance it economically. Right? So they tried to, I don't know, use some form of manipulation to get them to bend to their will, and it's not working out, and now they are just announcing a new strategy, right, to basically attack Russia economically. Merz considers it virtually impossible for normal relations with Putin to ever be restored. When I look at this regime, it is furious terror. I have little hope. In Mertz's view, the Russian ruling clique cannot do without war in the foreseeable future. It must keep this war machine running because it has no plan for what to do with the hundreds and thousands of soldiers, some of whom have been severely traumatized, returning from the front, the chancellor added. Well, projection has been the theme, right? Projection has been the theme even since here. Just straight up projecting. This is projecting, right? Right? So the geniuses, this is what they are saying, right? And I don't know, he's trying to appeal to the psyche of the Russian people, right? Like he cares or something. So there is a clique in Russia who cannot do without war. Again, projecting, right? It must keep the war machine running because it has no plan to do with what to do with hundreds and thousands of soldiers. Wow, this is more of a NATO America problem, isn't it? Right, all of these soldiers, right? Maybe that's why they keep them over there in the bases far from home, because they do not have any way to deal with them. And some individuals think maybe it's cool. No, this is just full-on projection, right? Maybe they're just giving us keys to their psyche. Huh? Slovakia and Hungary suspend diesel export to Ukraine, but this is not critical. I don't know what the bat was for you as a reporter, but hey, right? They call themselves reporters. Slovak oil refining company Slovanaft is temporarily suspending diesel exports to Ukraine and other export deliveries, Prime Minister Robert Fico said. The Slovak government has declared a state of emergency in the energy sector and decided to release part of the strategic oil reserves in the form of loan to Slovak, which operates the country oil refinery. All right. So, of course, it is unfortunate, but our fuel suppliers should have thought in advance about the consequences of a partnership with Russia, okay, pertaining to this matter, right? So I'm showing you the both sides, right? So these people here, they have a oil crisis, right? Like they have said here, diesel, right? They have a oil crisis, right? And they have cut their exports of oil, right, and open up their strategic reserves, as they have said. Right now, what is the other side said, right? And again, these are from the same block, okay? Of course, it is unfortunate, but our fuel suppliers should have thought in advance about the consequences of partnership with Russia. How is it possible in the fourth year of the war to receive raw materials from the aggressor state and not build alternative routes? Commented director of Serenko, I don't know. You be the judge. Zelensky, not sure negotiation teams can solve territorial issues. You have said this. Referendum, but you need a month of ceasefire. No. that they said will not happen. They'll give you a day. I'm not sure that our team can really decide the question of the land, right? Of course, it is up to our people in any way. In the end, it is up to our people to accept the peace deal or not, right? So why are these teams negotiating then if it's up to the people to decide? Why don't you bring the whole 28 thing from Russia and make people vote on it? How about that? Hmm? In the end, it's up for our people to accept the peace deal or not up to anybody in the world, right? That includes yourself. So your people are telling you you should continue this war, okay? And it doesn't depend on the strong country or the strong leader or not. I don't know what that was about. Right? It's up to the Ukrainian people. That's correct. Zelensky, no one can guarantee that Putin will not return. So for today, nobody can give us, a very strong word with all respect to the powerful American president and America as a whole. I mean, America is like a strong country. Again, contradicting his previous statement. With all respect, and we need their security guarantees. But even having all this, right? Nobody can tell us and give us their word that Putin will not come again. From what I figure here, Zelensky, Putin is the one that can give his word. And of course, as for your concern of, I don't know, pertaining to you assuming that even if you are given the security guarantees, that there is no way to guarantee that Russia will not return. So what are you suggesting? This is what I'm asking here. That's basically. So what you're saying is Russia must be destroyed for you to feel secure. Because even if Putin gives you his word, you won't accept it. He gave you a document. You, France, Germany, you all agreed. And somehow you have found a way to scapegoat Boris, that he's the one that torpedoed this whole situation. Are you serious right now? Are we trying to sell that right now? This is ridiculous. This is like a childish conversation, right? It is exhausting. Axios, right? This is the unofficial diplomats, right? As usual, they have just taken over the narrative wholly. Okay, we're just gonna give them that name from now, right? We're gonna call them unofficial diplomats. Okay. Axios sources said officials in the Trump administration are close to a decision on a large-scale armed operation against Iran, one that would resemble a full-scale war rather than a swift and surgical operation like the one conducted in Venezuela. 2 aircraft carriers, around a dozen warships, hundreds of fighter jets, and numerous air defense systems are already deployed near Iranian territory. 50 additional fighter jets have reportedly been sent to the Middle Eastern while hosting the peace whatever. Some US sources say considerable time would still be needed to get ready for the operation. However, one advisor claims that Trump is running out of patience, despite warnings from some members of his team, and estimates that it is 90% probable that the operation will begin in the coming weeks. Zelensky condemns decision to let Russian and Belarusians compete under national flags at 2026 Paralympics. Right? Shout out to the sister here. Right? It's interesting. Our struggle has shaped the world, brothers and sisters, believe it or not. You see, when I was younger, I picked up a trade, and that trade is camera work, right? I went deep, but I did not really understand the history, right? I didn't really understand the history. So I came along some information that was quite interesting. In the early days, the cameras did not do so well with our skin tones. Why? Because they did not invest nothing into their research into producing, or rather catering to our skin tone, right? It's the same thing with this narrative here, that facial recognition is so poor for black folk that a sister had to come up. Now, is this a good thing? It is what it is, right? Is a knife a good thing or a bad thing? So that's the state of the world, brothers and sisters, as I'm speaking, right? So yeah, right, a lot of warmongering out there going on. That is for sure. That is for certain. We can even say that, right? So yeah, the situation is tense, and it should remain tense for our own protection, because we are indeed dealing with rabid individuals here. Okay, psychopathic even, right? By the tendencies of the lies they spew. So anyway, and put a pin on it right there. Love you, Prince Easy, signing out. Bye.